Nigerian Pension Commission, in collaboration with the World Pension Summit, hosted the third edition of the AfricaSpecial Pension Summit. Gathering key players in the industry, it focused on the theme Pension Innovation, African Perspective. It all started with the opening remarks by the Director General of Pension Commission Nigeria, Mrs. Chinelo Anoru Amazu.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you distinguished ladies and gentlemen to this third edition of the World Pension Summit, AfricaSpecial, taking place here in Abuja today. The theme of this year's summit, as has been said earlier, is Pension Innovations, the Africa Perspective. Distinguished delegates and all accomplished professionals here present would agree with me that Africa is indeed at a critical turning point in its history. After a long period of faltering economic performance, there has been resurgent growth over the last decade, with the continent recording on the average a 5% increase in GDP. This renaissance has been, amongst other things, essentially sustained by unique African entrepreneurial and innovative spirit. The success stories of emerging industries and smaller innovative initiatives such as a portable irrigation technology helping sub-Saharan Africa smallholder farmers grow crops out of season. These innovations undoubtedly provide the foundations for transforming the continent over the next decades. A recent World Bank report on Africa's demographics, which was published in 2015, states that countries in sub-Saharan Africa have experienced impressive and sustained economic growth and development over the past 15 years. Child mortality has dropped in most countries, and infertility rates have reduced significantly for educated women living in urban areas. This has resulted in a rapidly growing population, with estimates showing that the region will become a much larger part of the global population, with a projected 2.8 billion people by 2060. This exponential milestone is expected to translate to a population of healthy, educated and empowered labor force that will engender sustainable economic growth and poverty reduction. Africa would, therefore, need to address the issue of aging population that will emerge as the demographic transition comes to an end by developing robust pension and social security systems to cater for old age income.
Representing the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the head of service, Mrs. Winifred Oyoita, stressed that government was ready to support pension industry to its fullest capacity in financing key projects in the country.
This summit is therefore a welcome development as it brings together experts, professionals in pensions and related fields, and indeed governments to discuss and exchange ideas on strategies to attract the much-needed private sector funding from both within and outside the continent. And this is to complement the efforts of national governments. It is also an opportunity for us as African countries to listen, learn, and share our perspectives on how best to move the African economic agenda forward. The federal government of Nigeria, on its part, will work to ensure that the required channels and support are put in place for pension funds and other institutional investors to provide the required financial intermediation in addressing Nigeria's infrastructure gaps.
The two founders of the World Pension Summit, Mr. Eric Egeng and Mr. Harris Morenberg, spoke on the trends and development in the pension industry.
We should be careful with innovations that can hurt or even destroy trust of beneficiaries. Cybercrime will be one of them. As pension pots are always representing lots of money, cybercrime will be a realistic threat to the sector. Another threat will be big data. The speed of integration of big data in our lives also threatens the comfort of privacy. Pension institutions should be in the forefront to be aware of that and take action to prevent themselves from negative side effects of innovative technology.
I do not have to explain that when people save, they rely on you as a bank or insurer or a government or a pension fund as a trusted partner to safekeep their money as a pension saving. Trust is actually the only thing you can offer in return. And you know, building trust comes from the experience. And as you have proven to deliver, as promised, time after time, it's trust, until it's not proven that way and the promise is broken.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo, keynote speaker, gave a caution on innovative drive for pension system in Nigeria.
I like innovation, and I like what you are talking about in the next 2 days. Pension, innovation, and sustainability. But I will add 2 things. Your innovation must be with caution. Now, when people have to work all their days of their life that they were strong and they make contribution for their future, now we cannot be too adventurous with so-called innovation. Because when they need the money must be there. Now, one of the things that makes me very happy about the pension scheme is that in the last 5 years or so, when almost anything goes about public fund, now pension fund remain sacrosanct. I believe that is something we must preserve, no matter what we do. We must, therefore, yes, bring about innovation, yes, bring about sustainability, but our innovation must be with caution, and our sustainability and innovation must be with security, so that anytime people, and one of the founders talk about trust, we must never reduce trust or eliminate trust from the pension fund. We have a very strong law or regulation for the pension fund. While you are innovating, don't dilute that law too much. And we must also find a way of using the pension fund to help our development, particularly infrastructural development.
Key policymakers and stakeholders speak on the 3rd edition of the Africa Special Pension Summit, and also how to move the pension system in the country forward. I just want to talk about this summit. The focus is on pension innovations, Africa perspective. Why the choice of that topic?
It's key because there's a lot of problems bedeviling the pension sector, and we've solved some. There's still more to be solved, and we are clear in our minds that there's absolute need to think out of the box so as to make sure that we provide accurate solutions that also are useful in the African continent, because we know from experience that one size does not fit all. So we have to fashion out ways to solve our challenges using the pension funds with an African continent in perspective.
I would like to commend, I think from the point of view of Labour, the leadership of PENCOM, for building an institution for the past 12 years. You also know that it is now clear that the way to go is contributory pension scheme. Now we have 7 million members of organized labor who are captured under this new scheme, and each one of them must have registered with pension fund administration, and there are about 22 of them. So now you have your PIN number, you know the rate of your contribution, you can monitor it. And also workers who have retired under this scheme, they are being paid as a when due. We can discuss about the rate of payment, and we think the rate of payment is still very low, but they are paid on time compared to the past.
We are still going through a process of biometric verification of all our pensioners and checking the records. As soon as we do that, we hope before the end of the year we'll settle those accrued liabilities. We've also passed a new pension reforms law which has put virtually everyone in the public service onto the contributory pension scheme. Anyone that is not retiring by the December 31st this year is automatically part of the contributory pension scheme of our state. So once we settle these liabilities and we're out of the pay-as-you-go problem, we still have to do an actuarial valuation to determine the accrued pensions that we have to issue bonds for, and we just took the decision to appoint the actuary yesterday. So we're working on that. I believe that by the end of 2017, early 2018, Kaduna State government would have resolved all its legacy pension issues and would have laid a solid foundation for a sustainable contributory pension system in the state.
It is pertinent that we live not for today, but for the future. And the reason why this fund is so important, the pension fund scheme, is because it provides for the future, right? People that live for today have no future. And while we have the National Pension Fund scheme, I would advocate that every state has a reserve fund. We introduced it to River State, and in their darkest moments, that's what kept them going, right? If every state took aside 5 or 10% of its income from the federation account and set it aside under very stringent guidelines on how it will be utilized or how it will be approached, believe me, economies are cyclical, right? When it's in the decline, you have something to buff you up. If we had our reserves properly managed, we would not be feeling what we're going through today. And this is a challenge. So it's important we do what we're doing here today, but it's also more important that we deepen it. It should not be a federal thing, it should be a state thing. Even the local governments should be doing the same thing.
With rising population in Africa and Nigeria, and critical need for social security and infrastructure, a robust way of tapping innovation into the pension industry can become a vital solution to ensuring that it becomes more vibrant and effective, not just for the working class, but also for those in the informal sector.